welcome Abijoma Onyato tonight. New twist of the missing students from Girls Science and Technical College, Dapchi, Yobe State. Government makes U-turn, apologizes over claim that missing students have been found. Nigeria drops by 12 places in Transparency International's Global Corruption Perception Index, takes 148th position among 180 countries surveyed. National Council of State demands end to farmers and herdsmen crisis in the country, asks military to fish out armed bandits from the forests. And Syrian government forces carry out new wave of air and artillery strikes on rebel-held eastern Ghouta region.
On business news tonight, House of Representatives directs the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) to hold the $1.8 billion maintenance plan for 4 refineries.
On sports news tonight, the league management company insists on better playing pitches in the Nigerian leagues following ban on 4 stadiums for poor playing surfaces.
And from Abuja, former INEC chairman Professor Atahiru Jega faults reordering of election sequence by the National Assembly, says lawmakers' action undermines the independence of the electoral umpire.
We begin tonight in Dapchi town in Yobe State, where some secondary school girls were abducted on Monday. Parents and guardians of the missing students have been keeping vigil and waiting for their daughters to return home. This comes after the U-turn by the state government, which admitted that the girls were indeed kidnapped after an initial statement that they had all been found. Channels Television's crew visits the ancient town, which is now a shadow of itself.
Dapchi, an unusually quiet town in Yobe State, once a beehive of activities, but now deserted. Residents are mourning and yet to come to terms with the reality of the abduction of over 50 of their daughters by suspected terrorists. They gather in their folds along the town's main roads, unarmed but vigilant. Others sit in groups waiting anxiously for a breaking news, perhaps one good news announcing the return of their missing daughters. Parents of the missing girls cannot hold back their tears. Consoling them is a difficult task, but there is a more difficult one, which is to rescue the girls and provide security for other schools in the state from unforeseen attacks. This is the school where the abduction took place. It is now a creaking old ghost town. Obviously, there are no signs it will return to its old glory anytime soon, as no one can guarantee the safety of the students. But Governor Ibrahim Gaidam has a message of hope for the people at their trying time.
We are not certain that the insurgents went with these girls as claimed. We all have to intensify prayers as security operatives are still on the search for these missing girls. They have to continue to gather intelligence reports, and we have to support their efforts with prayers. These children were in disarray during the shooting and may have run to different locations. And as I speak to you, we are getting reports that some are returning home on their own, and we have to be patient and accord security operatives the desired support. I urge you to be patient, as we are not resting.
The message may calm frayed nerves, maybe not for too long, as these parents can no longer wait to see their daughters return home.
Meanwhile, the Yobe State government has issued a statement through the Director General Press Affairs to the Governor Abdullahi Bego, apologizing for the misinformation about the abducted students in Dapchi. Part of the statement reads, "The public may recall that we issued a statement last night in which we announced that some of the girls at Government Girls Science Technical College Dapchi who went missing after Boko Haram terrorists had stormed their school last Monday were rescued by officers and men of the Nigerian Army. We issued the statement on the basis of information provided by one of the security agencies that's involved in the fight against Boko Haram, which we had no reason to doubt. We have now established that the information we relied on to make the statement was not credible. The Yobe State government apologizes for that." End of quote. The governor of Yobe State has promised to continue to partner with security agencies and the federal government to address the situation. Now, from all indications, no one seems to have any clue about the whereabouts of the girls and even the true situation of things. Even the federal government is asking for more time to assess the situation in Dapchi critically. The Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, who led a federal government delegation to Dapchi today on the orders of the president, says efforts are ongoing by the military to rescue the girls. The minister says, quote, "On the issue of the number of missing girls, we cannot give what we are not sure of until we hear from their parents. We cannot say this is the number," end of quote. Mr. Mohammed told reporters shortly after he arrived at Government Girls Science and Technical College, Dapchi, on Thursday afternoon, quote, "Give us more time, please," end of quote. The visit of the team follows a directive from the president to the military and other security agencies to provide him with information regarding the missing students. I'm staying with the story of the missing Yobe schoolgirls. The Senate is asking the federal government to intensify efforts at ensuring the safe return of all the girls. Now, this follows the adoption of a point of order raised by Senator Burka Ibrahim at plenary today.
The abduction of schoolgirls from the Government Girls Science Technical College in Dapchi Basari local government area of Yobe State has continued to draw reactions, and this time it's from the Senate.
So it is now my wish that we resolve to urge the federal government to urgently recover through the military, of course, girls, not to repeat the Chibok girls' experience in Borno State earlier.
The Senate leader, Senator Ahmed Lawan, praised both the federal and Yobe State governments for taking immediate action towards rescuing the girls, but makes the case for government to be proactive in protecting schools nationwide.
At this point, commend Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari for immediately taking action by directing the armed forces to move into Yobe to ensure that Boko Haram did not run away with any single girl. Now, the lesson is we need to be extra careful and take extraordinary measures in protecting our schools, especially girls' schools in those areas, in those states.
But not all the lawmakers are impressed by the steps taken by the government.
This is the question I'm asking. School children have been abducted or are missing. There is no record. You'll be here getting conflicting reports. Today, the police would say 67 missing. Another agency of government will say this. As I speak to you, there is no official statement from the state government. And that is why I strongly feel that the state government has abdicated this primary responsibility of protecting the lives and property of the citizens of Yobe State.
The insurgents had on Monday attacked Government Girls Science Technical College in Dapchi Basari local government area and abducted some of the students. Amaka Okafu, Channels Television News.
Away from the missing Dapchi schoolgirls, human rights advocacy group Amnesty International is accusing Nigeria's security forces of committing what it describes as widespread human rights violations in the year 2017. In a 6-page report released today, the group lists the abuses to include extrajudicial killings, attacks on civilians, arbitrary arrests and detentions, as well as attacks on the media. The report particularly condemns what it calls total disregard of the Nigerian military for human rights in the war against Boko Haram insurgents in the northeast. Part of the report reads, the military arbitrarily arrested and held thousands of young women, men and children in detention centers around the country. Detainees were denied access to lawyers and family members, end of quote. It goes further to point out that the military detention facility in Maiduguri held more than 4,900 people in extremely overcrowded cells where disease, dehydration and starvation were rife, and at least 340 detainees have died as a result. Children as young as 4 years old are said to have been held in overcrowded cells, while others were born in detention. The report made reference to the alleged killing of 10 members of the indigenous people of Biafra and injuring of 12 others by soldiers in Umuahia, Abia State. The Amnesty International report also accuses the Nigerian Air Force of bombing civilians in an IDP camp in Ran, Borno State. Both the police and the DSS are not spared in the report, which alleges the arrest and torture of some individuals by both security organizations, including the continued detention of Islamic Movements of Nigeria leader Ibrahim El-Zakzaki. The terrorist group Boko Haram, as well as armed herdsmen, are also accused of carrying out murderous attacks on civilian populations in the report. And while Amnesty International scores Nigeria low on security, global financial watchdog Transparency International's new corruption index reveals that the country's anti-corruption fight is suffering a setback. The latest Global Corruption Perception Index ranks Nigeria 148 out of 180 countries surveyed in its last assessment of countries in the year 2017. The program's manager of the Democratic Governance at CISLAC, Okeke Anya, while reacting to the report, observed that there seems to be a setback in the fight against corruption in Nigeria.
There is no progress as far as this report is concerned in the fight against corruption. In the update of the CPI, Nigeria ranks 148 out of 180 countries assessed in 2017 on the perception of the state of corruption in the country. Out of 100 points, signaling maximum transparency and no corruption, Nigeria scored 27 points. This results show a slight deterioration in the scoring of the perception about corruption in public administration compared to 2016. In 2016, Nigeria scored 28 points and ranked 136 in the ranking of countries. Nigeria slipped by 12 points. This shows that as the rest of the world has improved in the perception on corruption, Nigeria slips further down as the fight against corruption stagnates. On the African continent, Nigeria ranks 32 position in Africa out of 52 assessed countries in 2017. In West Africa, Nigeria is the second worst out of countries, leaving only Guinea-Bissau behind.
With that damning report and the criticism that accompanies it, many Nigerians may be surprised at the ranking and probably question it based on the zero-tolerance position of the current administration to corruption. Here's a background report on the latest perceptions.
Here's what the corruption index looks like. The nations in yellow signify least corrupt, and Nigeria, alongside other countries in sub-Saharan Africa, marked in red for more corrupt. That's according to Transparency International, of course, whose ranking for Nigeria under the Goodluck Jonathan administration drew concern. But 3 years down the line, from a change of government to President Muhammadu Buhari, an administration with a strong anti-corruption message, it may appear as if not much has been achieved. However, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, has been at the forefront of Nigeria's anti-corruption crusade, with a number of high-ranking government officials accused of financial corruption, including a former spokesman of the PDP, Olisa Metu, former Petroleum Minister, Dezani Alison Madueke, and a former secretary to the government of the Federation, Babashir Lawal. Some high-ranking judicial officers have also not been spared. But what is the Corruption Perception Index? It's a ranking of countries according to the extent to which corruption is believed to exist, created in 1995 by Transparency International to measure perceptions of corruption in the public sector in different countries.
A lot of people who have looted money, they still have access to bringing in confusion and making it look as if they are just being selected for victimization when they have looted and destroyed the country. So those people, they are a large number.
This means corruption has worsened in Nigeria between 2016 and 2017. And in West Africa, Nigeria is rated as the second most corrupt country. Whether this ranking will galvanize relevant authorities to more action to change the narrative remains to be seen.
In part 2, after the break, more on the Transparency International Corruption Report. We have co-founder of Budgets, Mr. Sheung Onigbede, to take a further look at the issue. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.